In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your Instagram photos look amazing in the Lightroom CC mobile app. Hi, welcome back to the Photoshop training channel. I'm Jesus Ramirez. In this video, I'm going to show you how to edit your mobile photos using the Lightroom CC mobile app. I was recently in the outstandingly beautiful Genoa, Nevada, where I shot this photo of an old wagon using my Google Pixel 3 phone. As you can see, the original photo wasn't much, but I was able to enhance it and make it look amazing using Lightroom CC. In this tutorial, we're going to focus on the Lightroom CC mobile app, but you can follow along using the Lightroom CC desktop app or the web app. If you're in Photoshop, you can use Camera Raw to follow along. All the same adjustments and controls can be found there. Okay, let's get started. So as you can see, I'm in Lightroom CC. This is what the app looks like when you open it up. And you can then tap on all photos so you can see all your photos. And you can see that on the top right, I have the after image, and on the left, I have the before. So obviously, we'll work with the before. So this is what the original photo looks like. And in Lightroom CC, you have the panels here at the bottom that control the image. By the way, if you're not familiar with how Lightroom CC works or how to edit images, then check out my free course on Lightroom CC. It's here on YouTube. It's an hour long, and I cover every single tool and what it does. I'll place a link right below in the description. Also, I was hired by Adobe to create short courses on Lightroom CC, and you can find them on the Adobe website. At the time of this recording, there's only one course that has been published, but pretty soon I'll have a second one on there. I'll also place a link down below to Adobe's website where you can find my courses. But anyway, we're going to start with the crop tool. So I'm going to tap on the crop icon, and from this crop tool, we can click and drag to rotate the image if we need to straighten the horizon. And we can use the handles to crop the image. Since I wanted to post this image on Instagram, I'm going to click on the original icon to bring up the different crops, and I'll select the 1:1 crop. Then you can click and drag on the corner handles to adjust how the image will be cropped. And then tap and drag to position the image within the crop. When you're done, just tap on the check mark to commit the changes. Then I'm going to move into the global adjustments, which start from auto. Global adjustments simply means that these settings will affect the entire image. Later on in the tutorial, we're going to focus on local adjustments, which focus on specific areas. So for now, we're doing global adjustments. The first thing that I'm going to do is tap on the light icon, and we have these sliders that control the luminosity of the image, how much light there is in the image. For example, with the exposure slider, you can drag to the right to increase light and drag to the left to reduce light. To reset a slider, double tap on it. What I'm going to do is scroll down and decrease the highlights to bring in more detail into the brighter areas of the image, specifically in the sky. If you hold the image with one finger, you can see the before, release to see the after. And I'll also bring detail into the shadows by dragging the shadow slider to the right. So now I'm bringing in detail in the darker areas of the image. And in your image, you obviously may need to adjust different settings. Then we have the color tab. Tap on it and you can see the sliders that control color. I'm going to start by making the image warmer by dragging the temp slider to the right. So I'm going to tap and drag to the right. This warms up the image. Then I can also increase the vibrance. Vibrance is a smart way of adding saturation. It adds more saturation to pixels that don't have a lot of saturation, and in portraits, it protects skin tones. I'm going to scroll to the top of the list, and I'm going to tap on the mix icon that gives me access to the color mixer. From here, I can select the color, like blue for example, and I can adjust the hue of the blue, and look at the sky, how it's affected by it, the saturation, and the luminance. And I'm double tapping on the sliders to reset them. In this case, I'm only going to increase the saturation just a bit by dragging the saturation slider to the right and reduce the luminance to darken up the sky just a little bit. Then I'll adjust the oranges, which controls the bottom half of the image. So I can increase the saturation to saturate those oranges and reduce the luminance to also make them darker. I'll tap on the yellows and I'll make the yellows even warmer by dragging the hue slider to the left, increase the saturation, and reduce the luminance. You can, once again, just tap and hold on the image to see the before and release to see the after. Then tap done. Now we can move on into the Effects tab, where we can add clarity, dehaze, and a vignette. So I'm going to start with clarity. I'm going to increase the clarity, which adds contrast in the midtones, and it just makes the image pop. Next, I'm going to tap on the Detail tab and increase the sharpening. So I'll drag the sharpening slider to the right. Also, when you add sharpening to an image, you really don't know what you're affecting. It's applying the sharpening effect to the entire image, and sometimes you may not want that. If you're using the desktop app or in Photoshop, you actually have a slider that helps you control where to apply the sharpening. And that slider is actually found here as well. It's the masking slider. But when you adjust it, nothing really happens. If you're in a desktop app, you can use a keyboard shortcut to show you how that mask is applied by holding Alt or the Option key. But in a phone, we don't have keyboard shortcuts. So if you want to see how that masking is applied, drag on the masking slider and then tap and hold on the photo, and then you'll be able to see the masking. So the masking simply means that anything that is in black will not be affected by the sharpening effect, and anything that is in white will be affected by the sharpening effect. And that's what we want. And then you can come back and adjust the sharpening. Also, you can tap and hold when you're adjusting the sharpening, and you'll be able to see a black and white version of the image, which will make it easier to see where you're applying the sharpening effect. And now it's time to work with the local adjustments. So now that we've affected the entire image, now it's time to work with specific areas. So what I'll do is I'll tap to the right to move all the panels, and then I'll tap on this first icon, which is a local adjustment, or a selective edit as it's known in the mobile app. Then tap on this plus icon and select the radial gradient. Then you can tap and drag to the right, and you can control how that radial gradient is applied. The red overlay indicates what pixels you're going to be affecting. So I'm going to tap and drag to affect these areas. Then I'm going to go into the light panel, and I'll increase the exposure just to brighten up that area because I want to enhance the brightness of the sun. Then I'm going to brighten up the shadows, again to enhance the brightness. Then I'm going to move on to the color tab, and I'm going to drag the temp slider to the right to warm up the image and make it seem like a bright sun. Then I can also increase the saturation. In the Details tab, I can also increase the sharpness just to make that area much sharper. Then I'll tap on the plus icon once again, and this time I'll create a linear gradient. I'm going to tap here and drag up so that I affect the bottom part of the image, and you can tap on this pin to reposition the gradient. So I want to affect that bottom half of the image. I'm going to start by going into the light panel and increasing the exposure to brighten up that area. Then I'll darken the shadows to create some contrast. I'll move on into the color tab and increase the temperature to warm that area up even further. In the effects tab, I'll increase the dehaze slider. Dehaze is usually used for removing haze from a photo. In this case, we're going to use it to create more contrast and more detail. So I'm going to drag that dehaze slider to the right. In the Details tab, I can also add a little bit of sharpness to get more detail on the ground and on the plants. Then tap on the check mark to commit the changes. Once again, if I tap and hold on the image, you can see the before and the after. I'm going to tap on the local adjustments, the selective edits. And even though I really don't need it in this image, I'm going to show you the paintbrush where you can paint and edit and then use these sliders to control those specific areas. Again, I don't need it in this case. I just wanted to show you that you could do that. I'm just going to tap on the undo button so I can undo those changes. Once again, that's before and after. When you're done, you want to obviously put your photo on Instagram. You can do that very easily. All you do is click on the 3-dot menu and select Save to Device. Then you can save the image to your device by pressing OK. Then you can open up Instagram and upload the photo just like you would any other photo in your camera roll. And just like that, you can turn your average shot into an amazing photo using the Lightroom CC mobile app. Let me know down in the comments below if you like the Lightroom CC mobile app or what your favorite mobile editing app is. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'm at JR from PTC. If you found this tutorial useful, don't forget to give it a like. If this is your first time at the Photoshop training channel, then click on that subscribe and notification buttons. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you again in the next tutorial.